In this video, we will be looking at emotional intelligence, or also known as EQ. So exactly what is EQ? Well, the official definition is that it's a range of emotion and social skills that can help you to understand and manage your own emotions and, very importantly, that of others in order to build and maintain healthy relationships with others. So exactly what does this mean? So people with a high EQ has the ability to recognize what they are feeling and have the skill to maintain or manage their emotions. In other words, somebody with a high EQ know when they're starting to get irritated or know when they're starting to get angry. But they also have this ability, a sense of empathy, to know what other people are feeling or to recognize what other people are going through and use that emotions to build a healthy relationship. So for example, let's say you're working in a workplace and a colleague of yours is very distressed or very upset. If you can recognize what that person is going through, that's a great stepping stone to building a friendship with that person. So for example, a lot of leaders in the world test very high for EQ. For example, Barack Obama has a very high EQ, which is also probably one of the reasons why he's such a successful person in life and why he was such a successful president. So why is EQ so important? Well, first of all, EQ is a skill that can help you to navigate stress, frustrations, and social demands. A high sense of EQ can also help you to express your needs very clearly. EQ can help you to enhance your ability to communicate with others, and EQ can also help you to establish happier and healthier relationships. So you can see it's very important to develop your sense of EQ, and in the rest of this video we're going to discuss all of these factors in more detail. So there's 5 broad categories when it comes to EQ. The first one is self-awareness. As we've mentioned, people with a high level of EQ is able to recognize what they are feeling. Secondly, self-regulation. People with a high level of EQ tend to regulate their emotions. As we discussed in the previous example, people with a high EQ will be able to regulate their anger and not be a slave to that emotion. Thirdly, motivation. People that have good EQ skills is usually good at motivating themselves and often very good at motivating others. Number 4, empathy. Empathy is basically the skill of placing yourself in somebody else's shoes. In other words, of recognizing the emotions that they are experiencing. And lastly, social skills. And that is why people with EQ, because of the empathy, is able to have a high sense of social skills. In other words, they're very good at starting up new relationships and friendships and maintaining healthy and happy relationships. So let's discuss the first category, self-awareness. As we've already said, this is the ability to become aware of your own emotions and their effects. In other words, recognizing what you are feeling, but also to recognize the effect it has on yourself and people around you. So how can you improve your self-awareness? Well, it's easy to keep a notepad and a pen handy and to record your own thoughts and feelings. Alternatively, if you don't like a pen and paper, you can always record your feelings on your cell phone. Nowadays, most cell phones has a recording app, and it's very easy to verbally record your feelings. So why do we do this? Well, it's very important to learn and name the feeling. So when you are feeling angry or frustrated or sad or happy, it's important to give that feeling a name. Then we need to identify the reason for the feeling. So in other words, once you've identified that you're feeling angry, it's important to figure out why you are feeling like that. For example, if you come home from work every day and you're angry or frustrated or irritated, there must be a reason for that. Something is happening at work that's causing you to be irritated. And then lastly, discover your strengths and dislikes. So in other words, once you have the ability to record and name your feelings, and identify why you are feeling like this, this is part of self-growth or self-development. And as you start to grow, you will recognize what is your strengths, what is your weaknesses, and in other words, what is your dislikes. So the second category, as we've mentioned, is self-regulation. And this is the ability to manage your emotions as they arise. So how do we improve self-regulation? Well, as we've mentioned, as you become more and more self-aware of your emotions, it would be easy to manage them as they present themselves. Take time to think before you respond. For example, if there's somebody at work that irritates you, if you are self-aware and you are aware of the emotion of irritation that's arising inside of you, think about it before you simply respond in anger. Thirdly, don't ignore or avoid your emotions. This is sometimes a very good reason why people burn out, because they're simply avoiding their stress or avoiding their irritation. It's not a good thing to avoid your emotions, because it can build up and sometimes have very negative consequences. So an extreme example is when somebody is irritated with another person at work, but every day they ignore it and they brush it aside. But then one day that other person does just one small thing that annoys them, and that person tends to snap. Fourthly, find healthy ways to cope. Exercise, hobbies, spirituality, these are all very good examples to purge your emotions. In other words, ways to cope with your emotions, to let it go. And then lastly, take responsibility for your actions. It's very important to recognize that emotions usually goes before action. Our behavior is sometimes driven by emotion. And it's very important for us to make that connection. And that's why we say, take responsibility for your actions. If you try to manage your negative emotions and fill yourself with positive emotions, your behavior will follow. But if you ignore your negative emotions, and if you become a slave to your negative emotions, you will behave very negatively as well. So the third category is motivation. Motivation is the ability to set goals, initiate activities, and show commitment to relationships, work, and projects. So basically what this means is that somebody who is very motivated has the ability to set goals, take action to reach those goals, and show the commitment to the success of these goals, whether it be relationship goals, work goals, or any project that they are working on. So how can we increase motivation? Well, first of all, we need to set personal goals and strive to achieve them. Somebody that's highly motivated always wants to develop or grow themselves, and therefore they're very good at setting goals and achieving them. Secondly, act on opportunities as they arise. People that are motivated are usually also very positive, and so they're very good at spotting opportunities that crosses their path. Thirdly, take initiative. Don't wait for others. As children, we're often taught to wait for an adult to make a decision for us. And so sometimes as adults, we always wait for somebody else, like our boss, our supervisor, our spouse, to make decisions for us. Somebody with a high EQ and who's highly motivated make decisions for themselves. They take responsibility for their decisions. In other words, they show initiative. Fourthly, make suggestions and add your opinion. People with a high level of EQ and who are motivated value their opinions and their suggestions, and they're not scared to add their suggestions, precisely because they value them. Somebody who's highly motivated places a lot of value on what they have to say and what they have to add to the conversation. And then lastly, try to maintain a positive attitude. As we've said by now, people that are highly motivated are usually also very positive. And positive people attract positivity in their lives. In other words, people are attracted to others with this positive attitude. And people who are positive also has a very good ability to look at opportunities that come their way. For example, if you start up your own business and you fail, a positive person would look at this failure as a learning curve. Where did they go wrong and how can they improve when they start a new business? Somebody with a negative attitude, when their business fails, would say, well, I'm a failure. I obviously can't run a business and now I've got to go and look for a job. That is the difference between a positive and a negative attitude. So the fourth category is empathy. Empathy is the ability to recognize how people feel and to respond with compassion. So, as we've discussed, this is the ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and feel what they are feeling and respond accordingly. How can we improve our empathy? Well, first of all, listen and don't interrupt. Somebody who has a good skill for empathy would simply listen to the other person, not interrupt them, but simply listen to what they are telling them. Secondly, affirm what they're saying to you. So, for example, I hear you are sad. If somebody's telling you how they are feeling, reflect those feelings. Another example would be if somebody's saying, sometimes I just feel like slapping that person. Appropriate response would be, I can hear that you're very angry with that person. It shows the other person that you're really listening and understanding how they are feeling. Thirdly, ask how you can help. Never offer your help or what you think the help should be. Ask them what they want from you. And then lastly, follow up afterwards. Don't have an empathic moment with someone and then just disappear. Follow up with them, see how they are doing. By now you should be recognizing that somebody with a high IQ and an ability for empathy has the ability to create very meaningful and deep relationships with others. Things that you should avoid is don't make assumptions about the other person. Never criticize the other person and never give advice. As we've said, ask them how you can help them. Don't tell them how you can help them. And so the last category is social skills. Social skills is the ability to form and maintain healthy relationships with other people. So, as you can see by now, if you have a skill for empathy, that's a good way to create or form a relationship. But social skills is the way in which you maintain that relationship. So, let's look at some tips on how to manage relationships. First of all, show interest in people by asking them questions. You will never learn about somebody else's life and who and what they are if you don't ask them questions. By asking them questions, you show interest in their lives, and that's a very good experience for somebody to have. Also recognize that you don't always have to say yes, and this is very important. If you want to maintain a healthy relationship with someone, it's okay to sometimes say no, and to have enough faith in yourself that that person won't reject you if you say no to them. Learn how to negotiate. It's okay to say no. Learn to set healthy boundaries. What do we mean by this? Let's say, for example, you've made a very good friend, but this friend comes over to your house every single day and becomes too much. It's sometimes okay to say to this person, look, I really enjoy your company, but being at my house every single day is sometimes too much and I need my private time. Can we perhaps see each other twice a week or 3 times a week? And trust in yourself that when you are assertive enough with this person, that they will take your message at face value and not reject you. Learn to be assertive and learn to value your opinions. And this kind of goes with what I've said just now. If you're assertive with somebody, in other words, assertive meaning not aggressive or not rude, Assertiveness means that you are simply telling somebody what your needs are. Be confident enough to know that what you are saying is valuable, that your opinion matters. Somebody with a high level of EQ are very good at valuing their own opinions and being assertive. They don't have a fear of rejection, and so they don't mind saying no. So that has been EQ in a nutshell. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video.